Okay, officially recording. Um, so yeah, basically, if you have any questions, I ask that you use the Q&A feature to put your questions in, and me or Ned will answer those questions at the end of the presentation. So I just want to let you know that this is presented by our Faith in Prevention program, also known as FIP. So it is a community partnership between Trenton Health Team and the local houses of worship in Trenton. We're open to all religious backgrounds and ethnicities. Basically, what we're aiming to do is promote physical health and wellness in Trenton. And we want to do that through the help of faith-based organizations. That has a lot to do with the fact that some people trust their faith leader a little bit more than their doctor, their friends. So they will take the advice that is being given to them a lot more seriously when it comes from someone like that. So some of the things that we offer for program is we offer private and public screenings. We also offer access to our health information exchange. If you want more information on that, please let me know. I can let you know. But in short, it's basically a database that will allow congregants to be notified by one liaison when they are admitted to any of our partnering health facilities. We also events for selected faith-based organizations. We offer a $1,500 grant, and this grant basically allows the FBO to make any necessary changes in their community. So whether they want to, create fix out a park that's behind the church, they can do something like that. Or if they want to start implementing more healthy meals and healthy foods during their events and their services, they can do something like that. If they want to, add different types of programs or something that will just be long lasting within the FBO, they're open to do that. And we also offer quarterly updates, which is part of our newsletter. So if you're interested in this, if you are a church leader or if you know someone that, sorry, I said church, but like I said, we're open to all different faiths. But if you know anyone that might be of interest, please contact me. That is my email at the bottom. So now I'm going to take it away to Ned. Ned is our host for today's event. He's a motivational speaker. He's also a program specialist at the Trenton Department of Recreation, founder of Pure Care Ministries, host of Barbershop, sorry, the thing is in the way, Barbershop Conversations for Men's Journey to Healing, and that is his information. So Ned, if you want to take it away.
Well, first off, thank you for the invitation and the opportunity. I am extremely grateful and appreciative of the work that you guys do there at Trenton Health Team. You guys have been doing some phenomenal stuff here in the city of Trenton. Trenton is my home. I'm a Trenton native through and through. So the opportunity to be able to help serve and make myself available is always something that I'm eager to do. So this particular conversation for me, ladies and gentlemen, is really near and dear to me. Most of what we'll discuss today, or I'll discuss today, is really just, excuse the term, but it's appointed, it's my testimony, to be honest with you. It's really about talking about how I've been able to utilize my faith to get me through some mental health challenges, how I've been able to use my faith to help me stand in moments when I'd really rather have fallen. And then I'll share some of the resources, some of the things that I've done that have helped me along my path. Let me just give also a disclaimer. I am in my office at this moment in time, so you might hear a lot of noise in my background. I run Parks and Recs as well for the city of Trenton, so my maintenance guys are in and out at this moment of the yard, and so you might hear lawnmowers and noise in the background. I'll try to overtalk them as best I can so that you can still hear me. So please bear with me, and my apologies for such noise. But yeah, let's get into it. Good evening to everybody. Good day. Hopefully everybody is doing well. It is great to see so many wonderful faces, and know that there are folks who are interested in this matter. Health and mental health is a huge, huge component in our community. Um, I'll speak to it from two particular spectrums. One is the African American community, which I am proudly part of. The other is the faith-based community, which I am lovingly a part of as well. Um, I might say some stuff today that might be a little controversial to some folks, so I apologize up front. One of the things that I'm very clear about and candid about is that I enjoy pulling the covers off of conversation and letting folks hear all of it, because it doesn't make sense to just give you a portion. Um, from my perspective. So talking to you guys from the basis of being an African American male, um, mental health is always a challenge for us because we struggle with it in the dark. We struggle with it in a place that we hide from others, that we pretend doesn't exist. And so for any of us to stand up and to ask for help or to put ourselves in a position to be able to expose the truth is powerful. I don't say that to toot my horn. I say that to say to all the brothers who are doing it, kudos to you and continue to do so. It is important for us to be able to talk about these situations, these topics, because that's the only way that healing starts. If I don't expose it, I don't know that there's a need for help. So it's important that we put that on the table. So with that being said, I want to talk about it from a church perspective. One of my biggest struggles and pet peeves with uh, faith-based organizations, and it doesn't matter to me what denomination, what religion, what walk, I think it pretty much holds true across the board from most of the brothers that I've spoken to, and even ministerial folks I've spoken to. Mental health has always been something that's been pushed to the back burner. It's always been shoved under the rug. It's always been treated like it's sinful nature, and we're not going to discuss it here in our place of worship. Um, that is probably the biggest struggle that we face in our communities and in our organizations of worship. We don't address mental health in a way that it can be dealt with to help those folks who are coming to us or who we identify as folks who are struggling with mental health. Because we will see folks in our churches and immediately assume that, they're where they are because they're just being sinful and that they're just carrying sinful behavior. And the reality of it is sometimes it's not that they're sinful, it's just that they're struggling. And so as a entity that's supposed to be there to help heal and help deliver and help folks get from point A to point B, the first thing is to identify where the struggles are and identify what's going on. And we always tell people it starts with self, and it does. But as a place of worship and in a leadership position in worship, we have to be willing to step out of that comfort box and address, talk to, and speak directly to some of the concerns, the issues that our congregants have. It is so important for us to reach people who are dealing with the anxiety of life, who are dealing with the anxiety of parenting, who are dealing with, just as the young folks say today, life doing life. Because we are going to struggle in so many different areas. And we've seen, for those of you like myself, we've seen the elders, our parents, our neighbors struggle in places. And we're like, wow, that's a shame. But then we keep it moving. I'm always reminded of there's how many sitcom stories, movies that show families that have that uncle or that auntie that they put in the back room upstairs in the house that we just, no, we don't, we just feed them and then they go back to their rooms. And we know that those folks have always been struggling, will always struggle until we address what's going on. And so as an organization or as a faith based organization, it is important for us to help these folks understand, A, first, that there is an issue, B, understanding how to ground themselves in a way that they can address the issue, and then C, getting to a place where they can get some tools and strategies on how to manage the issue. Because sometimes it is going to always be a part of your life. Some of us, like me, we're going to struggle with some stuff for the rest of our lives. How do we manage it is what matters. How do we deal with it, and how do we connect ourselves to the right organizations, to the right resources, to the right people, to get us through those steps so that we can better implement ourselves and address the stuff that we got going on. So it is important for us to know that. So today, hopefully, we'll discuss some of those things. Again, what I'm sharing today is what worked for Ned, what's helped me, and what's helped others that I know. Um, I'm never going to sit here and say to you that I have all the answers, but I'll tell you real quick, I'm always willing to help folks find the answer. So as we talk about some of the resources, we talk about some of the methods and the tools today, know that I am a resource for a lot of folks, and I don't mind being a resource for the folks who are here listening or interested in hearing today. Um, so let's get into it. let's get rocking and rolling here. So one of the first things that any of us know, and all of us should know, is that identifying that there is an issue is the first step. Being aware of where you are, who you are, is always crucial, because with anything, if I don't realize that there's a problem, I'm never going to address it as a problem. I'm just going to think that it's the way it's supposed to be. Um, and when we even deal with the family members, for example, I give my own story. There's people in members of my family who we have to walk through steps with because they're struggling with certain areas or certain things. And being able to be honest, being transparent, and being real with them is the only way that we can help move folks in the right direction. Um, it's always that mindset where we think that we have to sugarcoat things, or we have to uh, be politically correct with our responses or our answers. Sometimes the bluntness of a situation is the best way to really deal with folks, but we do it in a way that helps them understand that there is a concern and that we're here with them through it. I don't want to just beat you up or browbeat a person when they're struggling, but you also want to be honest with them and say, listen, here's what I see happening, and here's why I see it, and then talk about it and talk it through with them and have time to talk it through with them. Um, Patience in those moments and times are crucial. Being able to help those individuals understand, that one, you're here for them and with them, and two, that where they are isn't some horrible place. It's just a different challenge of life. So helping folks understand that component is crucial. The other part of that is, being able to help them and realize, even for yourselves, as I have done for myself, either with family or even in my own walk, is understanding how to connect them and get them to places or resources that can help them, whether it be in their own church, synagogue, or mosque, or whatever faith-based place that they're located with. Because one of the things that I've noted and that's helped me in a moment of time, um, and kind of, I think, bypass it a lot of times in our walks, is the fellowships that we have, the people we're connected to, are people who are resources to us, even if it's just to give us a word of encouragement, a smile, a hug, hey, how are you? Just a check in. Those individuals, those moments and times are valuable when we're struggling with our mental health and our mental concerns. We can't and we will never be able to do this by ourselves. And so to be able to talk to folks, to be able to be connected to folks that you trust, that are in have your best interest, is important. So please know, solitude and isolation is never the answer. It's never going to get you from where you are. It's never going to get you through a moment. It's never going to help you grow in building the better you. So fellowshipping and connecting is important. Um, the other piece of the puzzle that's important in the beginning in that process, as I started saying, is being able and being receptive to the resources that are around you. I know that for us as a community, that's always difficult at times, because trusting individuals and trusting people is always hard, right? And I'll say this because I know, having have been disappointed a few times in my life, getting to the place where you just open up to some folks isn't always the easiest thing to do. But for most of us, as was stated earlier, most of us are comfortable talking to the folks who we worship with. Most of us are comfortable talking to our pastors or to one of the leaders of your congregation or your religious organization, or even just someone who sits in that worship fellowship center with you. Being able to talk to somebody, being able to share with someone helps you get through that and might even open up a door resource that you probably weren't aware of or that you might have been aware of but were afraid to reach out to, and they might even encourage you or be a possible support system for you as you enter into that world of healing. Um, and the last piece to that component for me is what I just stated. It's the healing process, right? Healing is the key term, the key word, the key movement. It is the action word to all that we are doing in this time of mental health, mental awareness, right? You want to know that what we're doing or what you're doing is about trying to be healed. And so when you take it from that perspective, or when you use that mindset or that terminology, it changes your projection of what you're dealing with, right? It's no different than when the doctor says to you, hey, I need you to take these pills to lower your blood pressure. Or doc, you need to take this medication in order to clear up that indigestion. You know that by doing this, it's going to make me feel better. The same thing works with mental health. There are steps and stages. You have to be willing to walk through it and know that at the end of the process, I'm looking at healing. I'm looking at being, and healing doesn't always mean that I'm going to be completely cured. Healing just means I'm going to feel better. I'm going to be in a better place. I'm going to be in a better position. I'm going to be able to function better than I did before, even in a different capacity than I did before. Um, and that's always the goal. It should always be the goal in every part of our lives, right? We should always be thinking, living towards how do I be the better version of myself, irregardless of what it may be or where it may be. I want to be my best authentic self. And so what do I have to do, right? Do I need to go get counseling from somewhere? Do I need medication? Do I need to just learn to find a quiet space for myself where I can meditate, where I can just pray, or where I can just, be to me and be one with God, one with nature, one with self? All of those components, all of those pieces are beneficial in your healing process. Um, the beauty of healing through faith, at least for me, is that it means that I'm connecting myself to something that's greater than me, right? I constantly remind myself, and I still to this day I do it, even though my sons are old and or adults. I tell people there were many a day that my children were my why, right? And what that means is that I've identified something that makes me get out of bed. I've identified something that makes me push forward. I'm identifying something that's going to make me go from point A to point B, even if it's a daily reminder. And for me, it was my two sons. My two sons were my why. Um, and then I realized as they got older and needed me less, I had to figure out what's my why. What am I doing now? And on a lot of occasions and times, it's my drive towards being the best man of God I can be. And so as I continue to try to strive to please the Lord that I serve, it helps me become that guy that says, okay, this is why we're doing this today, Ned. There's a reason why you're here to help somebody else. There's a reason why God woke you up this morning. There's a reason why we're moving forward. And so those components or those whys are what drive me even in my walk today. And so for me, that's the beauty of allowing my healing to be part of my connection to the Lord I serve. And for you, it might be, whatever God you serve or whatever faith base you may be connected to, allowing that to be what pushes you through. But in doing so, it must be done in an honest and open way. And so, what do I mean by that? An honest and open way. What I mean is that you have to be willing to be real with yourself that there's an issue. You have to be willing to be open and honest with the folks around you, that here's where I am and here's what's going on. Um, One of the things that I do, and I think it was mentioned, so one of my podcasts is and blogs that I do is called Barbershop Conversations. Excuse me. And in that, I created this initiative called Under Construction. All right. And then under construction, actually, I'm wearing a shirt today. It reads, sorry for my inconvenience because I'm under construction. So sometimes we just have to apologize without apologizing to say, listen, I'm not the person you thought I was or the person I used to be because I'm trying to be better. And so I apologize if you're not getting from me what you normally would get, or if you're not getting from me who you would like me to give you. But here's where I'm at today. Being honest about that, because every day, as you know, every day ain't gonna be peaches. Every day's not gonna be roses and sunshine. Some days you're gonna have some rain, and you're gonna have to walk through some mud, and you're gonna have to deal with the dog barking too loud, or whatever it might be that pulls away at your string. Those days you got to be honest with yourself and say, today is the day that is different. And I need to let you know up front, I'm under construction. You're dealing with a different person today. And doesn't mean that I'm gonna be mean or nasty, but I'm apologizing up front in case something come out that you're not used to hearing. Because today I might be like, I ain't got time for you. Or today I might be like, hey, I love you, but I need to not be around you because you need too much of my attention and I don't have it. Right. And so being honest and upfront is important as you're moving forward to your healing. Keeping it real, as folks would say back in the day. Keep it real. Keep it real with me, and I'll keep it real with you. Because if you don't, your struggling becomes multiplied. It amplifies because now you're dealing with your own stuff, and because other folks haven't heard you say stop, they're just gonna pour their stuff onto you. And I mean, literally just today, someone called me. I was in the middle of a ton of things here with work, and I had to stop them on the phone call and was like, love you, but I can't do this with you right now. I'm in the middle of some stuff. Promise you I'll call you back before I take the day down. They understood it. It was an honest moment. I wasn't mean or nasty about it, but I wasn't also in a position or a mindset to say, hey, you can unload here, but I can't have you unload if my dock is full. I can't have you unload on me if I'm carrying a load that's already got me bent over. And so being honest with folks about where we are, what we're doing is absolutely paramount. Once we've established ourselves in that position where we are saying, here's where I am, here's what I'm doing, here's the person that you see, no filter, covers pulled off. Now you can start identifying the areas of your life, the characteristics of your life that you need to identify or work on independently, whether it be, you know, my health. Am I eating right? Am I eating the foods that are going to help me, sustain me, provide me what I need to get through my day? You know, if I know that I can, like myself, I carry a long day. My days normally are anywhere between 12 to 14 hours a day at work. I can't load up on junk. I can't eat unhealthy foods all the time. I won't lie. I do have my days, but I can't make that the sustainability piece for me because I would not be able to function properly. Right? Am I eating stuff that's going to help me stay focused? Am I eating stuff that's going to give my body what it needs? Those are characteristics that we need to pay attention to. Am I resting enough? Am I am I feeding myself not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually with what I need to sustain me? You know what I mean? We are what we eat, as they say, right? We also are what we read. We are what we watch. We are who we hang around. You know what I mean? If I'm constantly hanging around folks who are draining me, then I'm not helping me. If I'm constantly hanging around folks if I say, for example, I need to watch my mouth or I need to think better about myself, why would I hang around folks who just curse or do nothing but downplay or down themselves on a regular basis? I'm going to become the people that I'm around, and it doesn't benefit me when I realize that I need to be better than what I was before. So, how we manage ourselves, we identify where we are, we specifically tune in on those characteristics, those things that we need to work on for our own special benefit, and then we start putting a plan in place on how do we change them, right? Because at its core, the things that we're dealing with are really human behavior issues, right? Human behavior characteristics are what they are. And I don't care, they may be different identically for individual people, but the reality is they're still human behavior traits. And how do you change human behavior traits? With repetition, right? We do something consistently for a period of time, and now it becomes something that we do as part of our norm. And so if I know that I want to eat better, I got to put myself on a regimen and be disciplined to eat better. If I know I need to sleep more, I got to do that, and so on. So making yourself and putting yourself in a place where you can disciplinedly regiment your lifestyle, regimentally do things in a way that helps you become the better person, and ultimately changes your behaviors to become a new lifestyle. That's part of how that works. If the concern or the issue requires you to get counseling, then we must do that. Whether that counseling is professional counseling or through your pastor or your leader, your religious leader, those components, those pieces of the puzzle, you have to commit to and be willing to sacrifice the time and resources to make it work for you. The last thing you want to do again is say, I want change, but not be willing to do the change or do the work for the change, because ultimately you're just going to stay where you are. And as folks used to have a coach who would always remind me, if you're not going to put the work in there to be the athlete that you say you want to be, you're just walking around in insanity. So, you're going to be frustrated, you're going to be mad, you're going to be disappointed, you're going to be depressed, you're going to put yourself in levels of anxiety because you're going to always be thinking, why am I not? And what is wrong with put the work in? And those conversations, those mental conversations in your head don't happen as frequently. So ultimately, they'll probably almost vanish in most cases because you've worked your way through them so that they're not even issues anymore. So those are some beginning steps to how you start building, the better you, as I would say, or building the better possibility of you by identifying it, by putting a plan in place to work on those areas that you've identified, and giving yourself real expectations. That's probably one of my biggest pet peeves, at least for me, when it comes to Ned, is that I don't give myself real timelines. I'm always trying to do more, do better. Um, and that's a detriment to me because I don't give myself an opportunity to see the steps, right? And you have to be willing and able to say, today was a great day, period. Today was a good day. I'm not worried about yesterday. I can't go stressing about tomorrow. I just need to deal with what I have in front of me today. And so, and each day, like I said, is a day where I'm like, let's check that off. Or in school, they would say, here's a gold star. Give yourself a gold star whenever there's a moment to give yourself a gold star. Because there's going to be enough moments where you're going to say, man, I didn't get that done. Or man, I messed up. Or man, I dropped the ball. Those are going to come. So when you have an opportunity to say, you know what, I got through the day and I didn't snap on anybody today. Or I got through the day and I didn't have a moment of anxiety or stress on me. I was just like able to get through stuff. And even in the midst of a moment, where you're able to even say, in the midst of all that I'm going on, I was able to share a word with a coworker, a neighbor, a family, a friend that helped them because of stuff that I've been dealing with, and I shared, and it helped. Give yourself the gold star for those moments, because those encouraging moments, those uplifting moments are what's going to help motivate you and drive you to want more. It's euphoric almost, because it's like anything else. It's like that scoop of great ice cream that you like. When you take that first scoop of ice cream, you're like, oh my God, I missed this. Now I gotta have another scoop, and I want another scoop until you look around and like the bowl's empty. And then you go get more, even though you probably shouldn't have it. The same thing that is there for you when you help other people, when you serve. It's euphoric. You're yourself saying, man, it was great to see that smile. Something I did put a smile on somebody's face, or something I did made somebody feel better. Use that energy to help push you to do more of that. Because the more we serve, the more we help through our faith and through our belief systems, is what really drives our connection and our fellowship. Because I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one around here who will rather be around folks who are positive than be around folks who are negative, right? And you'll find yourself gravitating to more positive people who are looking to uplift and encourage when you start doing more of that uplifting and encouragement yourself. So those are some key points or key components that I think is necessary and important for us as we build, and I'll use this terminology, build the better you, or help others build the better themselves, build the better you. Because again, the information that we learn and we share isn't supposed to be kept, it's supposed to be shared. So as we learn, as we grow, we learn how to share it in a way that's beneficial to not just yourself, but to others. Um, And with that, I'm gonna also say this. I know it was said earlier on. Please feel free to put questions in the Q&A just as we go through. If there's questions you have or if information you may need or any of that, do not hesitate to ask that. We'll towards the end of this, we'll leave some time for those questions to be answered for you um, at the end. Um, and I don't want to miss. I keep getting myself off track because I'm blowing through all of this information quickly. So please forgive me. Um, and if there's ever a moment where you need me to slow down, just throw your hand up or something and tell me to slow down. But yeah, so as we get as the healing component and the process of healing yourselves and healing through this faith initiative is taking place for you, it's just again important to be honest and open about it, to be willing to identify the areas that you are identifying are needs of yours, taking the time and understanding the importance of celebrating every moment that's important. Even if it doesn't seem like a big celebration, celebrate it. Know that you're doing something good and connecting and learning some stuff from other people. That's so crucial to your own personal development and growth through it. Um, the other piece of the puzzle that we need to be mindful of and understanding of is that as we're building this component, this better you, that it's what I'll affectionately call the marketability, right? One of the things that um, I've learned, and I guess I better call it branding. Um, the ability to put yourself in a position or in a place where folks know that you're a person of integrity. They know that you're a person who they can that you're trustable, that you're honorable in where you are and who you are. And that comes from being, again, transparent and being keeping it real about who you are and where you are. Um, one of the beautiful things about trust, it doesn't mean that you're perfect. Trust means that you're reliable and that you're honorable and that your integrity is upstanding. And so when we're building this opportunity to be healed from all of those areas that we're struggling in, you know, folks should be able to know that about you, right? And how that happens is because you're consistent with what it is that you do, that you are uh, staying true to the course. Um, when we are, and again, I always use myself as an example. Early on in my life, one of the things, even though I've always considered myself to be a decent and a nice guy, my consistency with being a decent and nice guy in all arenas was never really there for me by my standard. And so there were times where, I was one way in this environment, but I was also this way in another environment, meaning I was wearing more than one mask. And so the importance of being able to walk the right way is, removing the mask and consistently operating without the mask. Even if it means that folks get to see you at your worst, you have to be okay with being seen at your worst and understand that, hey, um, I'm okay. And I need you to understand that this is where I'm at and that, it's not a bad thing. I'm not feeling bad about being transparent. I'm not feeling bad about letting you know that I'm in a place of healing. I'm not feeling bad about letting you know that I'm struggling with depression or anxiety or whatever you might be struggling with. Because at the end of the day, and when the covers are off on all of us are struggling with something. Each and every one of us has something that we wish was better, whether it's my esteem, whether it's, again, depressionary issues, whatever it may be. All of us on this planet, if you are breathing, you have something that you're like, man, I wish I could get past this. You know, I wish I could, my family's thing is we always say, there are some generational curses I wish we can get rid of. There's some things that are inherited by us that I'm like, man, I wish I didn't have to carry that. And you pray about it and then you work through it. But being honest about it is what gets you through. It's what helps you, fight through those moments. When you start realizing that anxiety runs in my family, right? It's something that my grandmother had, my grandfather might have had, my mother had, or my dad. Like you start realizing, like, oh man, I have to pay attention to this for myself. No different than as I used an example before. High blood pressure might run in your family. And I watch my daddy take a blood pressure pill every morning, and he did that all the way through his life. And then I watch my siblings have to do it, and then now I might be doing it. But you start learning, or you should start learning, how to better manage, how to better cope, because the doctor says to you, hey, this is what you need in order to prolong your life. Well, if the doctor says that you need to take medication to prolong your life, then you should go see a psychiatrist or a counselor or someone who's going to help you understand how to better prolong your life. Because at the end of the day, you are looking to live long and as healthy as possible by doing what you need to do with this body and this mind. And more importantly, at times, your spirit, because our spirit is what drives us a lot of times in what we do. So making sure that those things are healthy, making sure those things are in a position of growth, is crucial to your healing and developing a healthier you. And again, knowing that there's no shame in healing, right? There's no shame in healing. No one's going to look at you funny if you say to me or to anyone, I'm trying to feel better about me, or I'm trying to get in a better place than where I was. I'm working at being the best me I can be. Anybody who's against that, you should be around anyway. You don't need to be around folks who aren't going to be expecting you to be better, or going to be okay with you being better. So look at the best possible ways of building up your placement. Wherever it is, wherever you are, you're fine, but you just want to be better, right? And that's exactly what it's about. And even if you've identified the fact that you're not fine, just know that you want to be better and that you're willing to work, willing to do the sacrifice, willing to put the energy and effort into being better is really the big piece of the puzzle. It's the key. And there's no, for me, again, and I said this early on, this is Ned's testimony. For me, there's no better way to start my healing process than through prayer, through sacrifice, and then understanding that here's where I am and here's where I want to be. But it always starts with me just trusting God, understanding that God's got a plan that won't fail for me. And I know, we have multiple folks who are coming from different places spiritually, and that's perfectly fine. But also understand that no matter where you stand or whatever square you stand on, that every religion, I don't care where you're from, has a place of prayer or meditation that they must utilize to get to a better place or a better mindset. And so you're no different. I'm no different. That we pray, that we read our word, that we trust the God we serve, and that we fellowship and connect to people who can help us grow and develop into the best possible person we can be. Um, Went over a lot today. I know we're close to our time for our Q&A, so I don't want to really, belabor this too much. If there's questions, if you have questions for us, please, please, please ask them for us now. I want to make sure that we have time to address or answer any questions. Um, uh,
So we do have a couple questions. Um, First question is, was there a particular life event or catalyst for you? This is for you, Ned,
mhm.
to start down your own mental health journey. What influenced you to get started in this work?
Wow. Um, so I guess in some degree, I've always done it to some level. And it was just really, I grew up in a family, in a household that was struggling. There was a lot of dysfunction. I grew up around it. I grew up in it with my mom and my dad, with siblings, and even in the neighborhood. So I think there was always an early on desire and need to help others and to be there and be dare I say, a little different because I just didn't like what I saw. So I figured I'd be different than what I saw every day. Um, it didn't become real work for me until I got to a position where it just seemed like everything was like falling apart. Um, I was struggling with a marriage. Um, I was struggling with parenting. And at that point in time, when I realized that it was my own walk that was in jeopardy and that was really dying, was when I had a decision and made a decision to start doing things and moving things differently.
Great. Um, Another question is, how do you encourage a loved one to seek help if they, like you said earlier, do not recognize that they have a mental health problem?
Hmm. Honesty. Honesty is important. Being real with people, even though, a lot of folks feel like they don't want to deal with it because they're concerned about the possible conflict that comes out of being honest with them is the only way to do it. And you do it in a way that's nurturing and loving, that you don't beat them up about it or you don't attack them with it, but you have a conversation about it. And you identify what you've noticed, what you see, what you've become privy to, and then you talk to them about the fact that you're there for them and that irregardless of what, you're there to help support them through that process.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions? The Q&A is still open. If you have trouble finding it, because I know it's kind of hidden, you would have to click the three dots in the more option, and then you'll see the Q&A option. But while we're waiting for people to drop in any questions, I just want to thank you, Ned, for that great testimony. I know, like we said, we're open to many different houses of worship, and I love that you were able to touch on that as well. Um,
Yeah,
I I have a question, if that's okay.
sure. Why not?
Um, how would you encourage someone that, doesn't necessarily have, let's say, one faith that they are a part of? Like they don't have a one faith organization. How would you encourage them to, focus on
Okay.
themselves or their mental health?
Well, I think that the components and things that I spoke of today are really just they're generic enough that even though I'm applying them to faith-based organizations and that mindset, wanting to be better is just a human nature factor. It's human behavior. We should always want to be better, and it doesn't matter. For me, it matters, but generally, it doesn't matter if you are or not connected to a faith-based organization to be a better person,
Right.
right? So, being a better person, understanding that where you are might not be the best place for you, or might not be where you want to desire where you desire to be is where we start with it. And so, many times, even when I talk to folks about my faith, my walk, my belief system, right? I don't talk to them in the mindset of, hey, if you come to church, you'll be a better person. That would be such a lie. It starts with you as a person, understanding how do you be the best person you are. And here are some elements or some things that work for me that maybe you can apply or maybe not. But I can only, as old folks say, I can only lead you to water. I can't force you to drink it. I can drown you in it, but I can't make you drink it.
Right. I don't know about the drowning part.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not something that most people they don't choose it. They don't choose that. So they normally choose to drink it if I offer to drown a drink. So
Well, I don't see any more questions. So I don't want to drag this on for, too long. Any
awesome.
extra questions, or if you're interested in anything, this is Ned's information here. This is his email.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, these are just some resources that Ned was able to pull up. Ned, do you want to talk about the resources? I'm familiar with Oaks Integrated, but I don't think I know too much about NAM and
Yeah,
Catholic Charities.
NAMI. NAMI's another mental mental awareness and mental health agency here in Mercer County that's been around for a number of years. They offer counseling as well as other resources and support systems. They've always been a very positive and very reliable resource in the community here in Mercer County. So if there's anyone who ever needs counseling or support or just needed, a guiding light to say, hey, here, make the left or the right, NAMI's always been someplace that's been very crucial in doing so. And then the third is Catholic Charities, who've been a part of our communities forever. It was brought to my attention by, actually, he's on here, Pastor Ethan Evans, that they just received a substantial grant to do some mental health services here in the community out of their Hamilton office. So definitely, they've always been a mainstay in our communities. And so reaching out to them, I know, has always been reliable for folks. So they're a great resource as well.
And may I add that they have
Please.
walk-in services. They
Yes.
also supply medications. They'll even look for overnight residents. If you're homeless and on the street, they have wonderful services, Catholic Charities.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for adding that.
Thank you. Well,
You have to
thank you so
smile though
much.
when you say that for me, Judith.
Pardon?
You have to give me the smile when you say that. I'm looking for the smile.
Okay.
Well, thank you again, Ned, and thank you for everyone
welcome.
For joining. Like I said, this is being recorded and it will be put onto our website for anyone who didn't get the chance to make it on time. So you can watch the whole thing on our website. Thank you so much, and I hope that
Awesome.
you all have a great day. Bye.
Thank you. Take care.